All right. Welcome to another episode of Hammer the Heck Out of It golf podcast brought to you by Jacob Ham and Alex Heck. Today we are joined. Uh, he's gracious enough to give us a little bit of his time. He's very busy by North Carolina sophomore golfer David Ford. A little bit about David, a little intro. He came to North Carolina as the number one ranked golfer in the AJGA Rolex rankings. He's a four-time AJGA champion, and he is the 2023 Jones Cup champion, 2022 Jackson Stevens Cup champion, and the 2022 Southern Amateur champion. So, David, thanks for being on today, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you reaching out and having me on.
Just kind of like first thing, just kind of get into. So, what got you into golf? Like, was it right off the bat as a young kid you kind of started playing golf, or was it like you kind of picked it up later?
Yeah, I'd say I picked it up a little bit later. My dad played golf his whole life. He grew up at a golf course. He grew up at East Lake, but it used to be called Atlanta Athletic Club, and so then Atlanta Athletic Club moved to Johns Creek instead of Atlanta. It's a suburb of Atlanta, and so it moved about 30 minutes away. And then that's where Atlanta Athletic Club is now, and that's where I grew up playing golf. And my dad kind of introduced me to the game, and I have a twin brother who plays golf as well. So kind of fell in love with golf, but also the competitive aspect of golf. And it was kind of, I think one reason why I liked it a lot was it wasn't like basketball or hockey where you had to like conserve your energy. You could kind of go out to the golf course for say 8 to 10 hours a day, and you can hit balls the whole time, but you could hang out and take little breaks. But like for the most part, you'd be at the golf course having fun, and I think I really fell in love with that when I was around like 12 to 14. Really fell in love with just the competitive aspect of golf and how long you could play it for. So from there, it's kind of just kind of kept playing and fell in love with it.
Yeah, that's cool. I know you said you have a twin brother. I'm guessing you guys have had some pretty cool battles, like just playing with each other, like growing up and everything. He plays Division I golf too, correct? At Georgia.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
so I'm guessing you guys have had some days out on the course where you're playing with each other and like you're each kind of taking it low. What's like a kind of do you have like a cool story of like playing with your brother, like something cool that happened that day or anything that any story that sticks out to you that you remember like playing a practice round or something and you both kind of took it deep?
Yeah, I think I don't have as many recently for sure. I know there's so many stories to count, too many to count from when we were like 14 to I guess probably the end of 2020 when we just played every day together.
Hmm.
And I think at the start he kind of got the better of me, but then towards the end of that year in 2020, I definitely was playing my best golf and edged him out. I'd say a little bit more. But I think one story that recently where um, I found kind of funny, but also looking back on it, it's just kind of how golf is. This I think it was winter break. He was playing like amazing golf, like hitting it great, putting it great. But he wasn't putting well from short range. I'd say. Like his stroke was great. They just weren't going in. And then this winter break, we had a lot of rounds where he definitely played better than me, and was playing better than me for until like the last 5 holes. And then I just kind of like played average the last 5 holes, and he would hit it well or like hit a good shot and get like a really bad break. And it happened like
Hmm.
4 days in a row. Uh, and then he missed a short putt or something, and it was just kind of comical like how it all happened. And I mean, he was livid, and I was pretty upset too. Like I would be much happier losing than to see him like be distraught over like the breaks he was getting. But
Right. Yeah.
that's kind of a story that like that's just how golf is,
Yeah.
and we're so competitive. Like he didn't want to lose to me, and it was the same for me. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a fun competition, and we want to beat each other really really bad. But at the end of the day, we know we're out there getting better playing against each other.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, a little bit like more about you. Like I know obviously I said in your intro you were the number one ranked junior coming into college. Obviously you had a bunch of offers. I'm sure there were offers where you and your brother could have played together and everything. But what was it about North Carolina that kind of stuck out to you compared to other schools, like that kind of drew you to Chapel Hill?
Yeah, the main thing, which I've actually I've had a lot of time to think about this since I've been at school. I'd say just being around the program, but when I was recruited, the main thing that stood out was both the coaches, Andrew DiBattista and Matt Clark.
Mhm.
They're um, they're two of the most caring people I've ever met for sure. Like they just care about all the players, and I could see that. But more than anything, like I could see that they cared about me. And there were times when I felt like other coaches were recruiting me as a golfer, and they weren't really like they didn't mention about like who I was as a person or like find out as much about me as Andrew DiBattista and Matt Clark did. So I
Mhm.
feel like they were the two that like really stuck out to me when I was being recruited. Of like, all right, these coaches like they actually care about me. They actually want to see me get better, but like they actually want to make their guys better humans.
Mhm.
And so that was the main difference. Obviously, there were like tons of other factors, just with like the guys that are going to be on the team and where I wanted or where I saw my game and the trajectory of the program. And another big part was Carolina had a lot to prove, and they didn't get any respect. And I could kind of see the vision that Deebs and Clarkey had, the two coaches. Like I could see the vision they had really, really clearly. But the other coaches that were recruiting me couldn't see that. And they kind of they didn't do any like putting UNC down or anything like that.
Right.
They were amazing programs, but they couldn't understand why people seemed to go to UNC and not get any better. For the decades before Deebs got there, and so it's kind of something I wanted to approve a little bit of like UNC is good, and like I can see that they will be good. And, like I want to be a part of that.
Mhm.
So there's tons of factors. Ultimately, it's because the coaches care about me and they're amazing human beings, but the golf aspect of it is amazing too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have just a pretty awesome team this year. I think the ceiling is extremely high for you guys. I think that your coaches have done a really good job at kind of loading in a group that can get you guys to where you want to go. What is like, I guess it's interesting to like talk to D1 golfers, like just bigger schools and everything, bigger programs. What is like a big adjustment that you had from like being a junior to being in college? Whether it's like, did you have to start working out more? Like, do you guys do a bunch of weightlifting, or is it more on the technical side of golf?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that like I didn't expect when I got to college for sure.
Hmm.
Nothing was really physically related. So like I was a little bit injured coming into college. I had an injury in February 2021. So what is that? 6 months before I got to college. So I didn't know how that was going to pan out, but my strength trainer has done an amazing job just like getting to know me and really caring about me too. His name's Eric Hernandez. He's amazing. He's bought into me and all my teammates a lot. So I'd say that wasn't really an adjustment that I had to make with as far as weightlifting and getting in the gym because our trainer is really really encouraging, and we have good reason to be in there, and we know that he has our best interest in mind. So when he tells us that we should be in the gym, then it's probably because he wants to get us to get better. But I'd say the main adjustment that I found was being on a team with so many really really good players. I think that's why you see a lot of kids who go to like really solid teams, but not like amazing teams. I'd say like tend to falter.
Hmm.
So I don't, there's no like specific examples of people that I would say that do this, but like over the past few decades, I'd say since college golf has really grown, you see guys who are really really good in junior golf go to amateur golf, college golf especially, and be on these teams with great players, and then they falter. And I kind of found myself doing that a little bit last spring. The reason why is just because like you're on a team with so many good players, and you look around and you see the fifth best amateur in the world hitting next to you, and you start comparing yourself to them. And
Hmm.
I think our minds are a lot of times negative and don't really see how we're better than them at times. Like when we hit adversity, we don't see how our game is better than the people next to us. Like in what ways is it better than the people next to us? But I found myself doing that a lot, just comparing myself to like Greaser's putting or Ryan Burnett's ball striking. Just like a lot of really really good players on one team,
Hmm.
and I think we're all guilty of falling into that trap.
Oh
But it's
yeah.
something that's why encouraging teammates is so um, so powerful and so important. So I'd say my biggest transition was being around so many good players and having to guard myself to not compare to them.
I think whenever I was looking at your Wagger profile, I was checking that out, and obviously it's been like the past what 6, 7, 8 months. You've had like one start on your Wagger profile that's like outside of the top like eight. So you've done a really well, like really good job. You've obviously like you've gotten over that mental hurdle that you were kind of talking about, where you're comparing yourself, and then you start to play David Ford golf, which is really good. Um, Kind of looking at Wagger, where you're number six, you're obviously on the radar for like coming up for like PGA Tour University, like you'll probably make your way on there coming up. How much of that is like, I guess if you're at a top program, top player in the country, how much of that are you looking at? Like, are you ever checking that out? Are you ever like figuring out what it takes to get onto that? Or like, is that anything that ever crosses your mind?
Yeah. Since since I found out about Wagger, I've checked it every pretty much every Wednesday for the last like 3 years, 2 years.
Hmm.
So it's something I like to check, like just to see where I'm at, and it's always kind of exciting when a tournament goes in and you know you're going to move up.
Hmm.
But I think my coach is amazing at dealing with like extra stuff in golf, and he's
Right.
learned a lot with Greaser these past 2 years of since Greaser's got a lot of media time and publicity, and
Hmm.
we've just as a program we've learned a lot through those experiences. And Andrew DiBattista, he is amazing at dealing with just extra stuff and noise, and um, he calls it a bag of crap, and just the stuff in golf that isn't golf.
Right.
He has an amazing perspective on it of just how it's just noise, and so I think the fact that like Wagger is there isn't a bad thing, and like that I'm ranked where I am isn't a bad thing, and same with GolfStat and all these other ranking systems or sponsorships or whatever. Like it's not a bad thing, but
Hmm.
if I ever have a look at Wagger and say like, man, like I wish I was somewhere else. Like I wish I wasn't sixth in the world. I wish I wasn't like eight in the world on GolfStat or whatever it is. Like if I say like I wish I wasn't there, then it's like I feel like it really it's not good for my mental, because then I feel like I'm doing something like right now in my golf game that like has gotten me to a point where I don't want to be, and like that's not how I want to feel on the golf course at all. So
Right.
like if I ever look at Wagger and have a negative thought of like if I move down three spots and have a negative thought about that, like that's when I need to stop looking at Wagger because it's not doing anything for me.
Hmm.
But like, if I can look at it in a safe way and say like, all right, I moved back to seven. Move back to seven right now. Like it might be a little bit of it wouldn't make me upset, but maybe a little kick in the rear end of like, all right, like let's go practice so we can continue to move up to where we want to be. But like the moment I start looking at something like that as negative or like too much pressure, then that's when I'll stop looking at it.
Hmm. What do you feel like for you, like as an individual, like what helps you with your pressure? Is it to go out there and just put in more hours and just kind of be like, okay, any negative thought that I have, I'm going to work on the golf course until that negative thought goes away? Is it something you do outside of golf? Like, how do you prefer to deal with your pressure?
Yeah, my faith is really important to me, actually. So I'm a Christian, and I feel like my relationship with God and with Jesus has been really growing the last 5 months or so.
Hmm.
And I've had a lot of people in my life that have kind of led me to faith and like reminded me where my true hope is. And um, I've said this, I've gotten the opportunity to say this to a lot of people in the last like 5 or 6 months. But like my hope is not in golf, and my identity is not in golf. Like I spend so much of my day playing golf, and so much of my life I've spent playing golf. But like ultimately, my hope is not found in a game that where you can three putt from 3 feet to lose the tournament. It's like that's just way too fleeting to put trust in myself or hope in that, because then it's just not going to go well for my life.
Right.
And I've seen that, and I think that the reason why I've played well in the last few months, like you said, um, I've had success in the last few months, but the reason that I've played well is just because I can be out on the golf course and know that like I can play in true freedom, because everything that I do in this world is I can't take anything with me to heaven. Like everything I do in this world is kind of void compared to heaven, and um, I basically, when I'm on the golf course, I'm kind of just praying, and I'm not always happy with my situation on the course, but I'd say that like because my true hope is in heaven, I can play with freedom, and pressure becomes a lot less when I can look at the cross and what Jesus did for me on the cross. And I think that's ultimately where my true hope comes from.
I love that. You've got an amazing head on your shoulders. So I think the sky is the limit for you. And just the fact that you realize that there is more to this, like being here, than golf is huge because I think a lot of people fall into that trap of like, okay, I play golf 6, 7, 8 hours a day. I get home, I'm watching golf. Like I wake up, I practice my swing in the mirror. Like like people fall into that trap of like everything they do or everything they think about has to do with golf. So I think that's awesome that you have found a way to deal with that with yourself. It just for your own opinion, what do you feel like is the strongest part of your golf game?
That's a good question. I think it changes a lot. I've had tournaments in the last 4 months, especially that I've done different things well. Like Seminole, for example, I played really well out there, and I hit my irons well. Didn't hit the driver very well, putted well, but more than anything, just hit my irons really, really well. And then the tournament after that, I got second in, and I drove the ball really well there, but I didn't have my best putting week.
Mhm.
Um, and so I feel like it kind of changes week to week. Ultimately, I think my putting inside of 6 feet is really, really good when I'm playing well, especially on Bermuda greens. I feel really comfortable just putting inside of 6 feet. And then I also feel like the most consistent part of my game is probably my driving of the golf ball. I feel like I hit my driver really well in Las Vegas, our last tournament, um, and didn't do anything else too great, but just hit the driver really well, and that kind of keeps me in tournaments, and um, it gives me a chance. I feel like when other things aren't working, I can always get it in play. So I feel like more than anything, my driver is the thing that I can lean on.
Yeah, I think that's huge because, like, I mean, it's just kind of like common sense that, like, the longer you hit a club, the more trouble you can get into with that club. So if your driver is one of the most consistent parts of your game, I mean, that's pretty good. Um,
Yeah,
how I know it's pretty early in it, but how is your spring season going so far?
yeah, it's been good. We actually started off in Hawaii, and then that tournament got canceled because of wind, which is
I
pretty
saw
crazy.
videos of that. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it's not a bad place to get a
yeah.
tournament canceled
We
at.
were vacation in Hawaii for um, a week straight.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, and then we after Hawaii, we went to Las Vegas, um, and that was a fun trip too. I love traveling with my teammates. It's chaotic, it's hectic. Sometimes it's, but like ultimately they're guys I love to travel with. They're all really funny and fun to be around, I'd say.
Mhm.
And so we traveled to Vegas, which was really fun, and played really well out there. I think we all had our games in a good spot for that week, but mentally, I don't think we were quite there. We still had some details to take care of, and especially me, a lot of things I could have done better. Finishing off rounds, especially the last round, my body language was pretty bad um, on the last few holes, and didn't finish off that round like I wanted to. But the spring season's been good. Like we have a lot of momentum right now, even though we didn't finish well in Las Vegas. We ended up getting fourth. Um, I say because we saw how well we played in Las Vegas before we had a bad stretch to finish. I think we all saw how good we are at golf as a
Mhm.
team without even having our best stuff. So yeah, I think we that gave us a lot of confidence moving forward, and just a lot of good feedback to work on for the rest of the spring. So a long time till nationals, but I say we're trending in a good direction right now, and we've done a good job of kind of managing expectations, I guess, and knowing that the national championship's still in 3 months, 2 months.
Yeah. 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 you guys got a lot of time. You guys are extremely talented bunch on your team. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes for you. Before we get off here, I know you're very busy. I wanted to ask you, we always ask one fun question to everybody. Um, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% positive, but your brother's right-handed, correct? And you're left-handed?
Correct.
Okay, so the fun question I want to ask you is if he were to play left-handed and you were to play right-handed, who's winning that in 18 holes?
I think I'm more ambidextrous.
Yeah.
I think he might be a little bit more athletic, but I've always been better like hitting righty.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know, I haven't hit righty in a while, so my body might not be feeling too good for a right-handed swing. Uh, but he's definitely not good lefty. We played a a 2-man event in Pinehurst. It was a college golf fellowship event, and we were leading. And then on I think we were leading or tied for the lead with a guy named Nick Lyerly and Noah Connor, UNCG guys. And it was a short course. And then on our I guess our fifth hole out of 8, we had to switch clubs, and I had to hit righty and he had to hit lefty, and the whole field had to do that. And there was like there's probably 25 guys who every single one of them had to use my club. But yeah, we basically switched, and I don't think he hit a very good one, but I remember I was really nervous, but I think I hit it. There's a little ravine short of the green, but I think I hit it over the green, and we were in a fine spot. So I think I would win that. He's not too gifted lefty, but I'm uh, I'm not either. So I don't know. It'd be tight, but I think I might edge him out.
That's funny. Well, David, I appreciate you coming on, man. You're a great dude. You guys got a great team. Like I said, looking forward to it. I'll be watching, see what the Tar Heels cook up this spring. But thank you, like for real, for taking the time to talk to me and to get this episode in. I appreciate it. I know Alex will appreciate it greatly. So
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on here and being willing to reach out. And it's fun for me to answer questions and to just talk to people. So I appreciate you reaching out.
yeah,
Thanks for trusting me to be on the podcast too.
yeah, no problem. Thank you.